All right, man. We are officially live across the world.
Yeah,
Honestly, man, crazy technology allows us to just jump right on the internet and speak to the world like this. It's
yeah,
crazy.
but sometimes it can bite you in the ass too, though. You gotta know that.
And yeah, and
And
it seems like you may have gotten bitten a little
yeah,
bit recently.
yeah. I mean, to start it off, which everybody knows, my younger brother passed away this past Sunday of suspected
Yeah, I'm
heart
sorry
attack,
for your loss, man.
and I dealt with that all day Sunday, and then Monday I was checking our YouTube emails, and we got this nasty ass message from this Richard Beeler threatening us basically to expose all of our personal information, everything out there.
What
If we
was the
did,
name?
Richard Beeler,
Richard Beeler.
and
Hmm.
yeah, and within 24 hours after we got done with our live that night, I went and laid down about 11:30 tonight and went to get on Facebook, and all of a sudden I was locked out. I was like, "What the hell?" So nothing happened until the next day. We go live, and all of a sudden my phone's getting hacked. And how I knew my phone was getting hacked, a friend of mine was messaging me, and I hadn't talked to her in a couple of days. And I'm sitting there reading these messages, and all of a sudden I see somebody typing in my key bar in my phone. I'm
That's
like,
crazy.
yeah. So I start trying to text her back, and as I was texting her, this person from the other end was erasing my messages as I was typing them. And then all of a sudden, I see him in my Cash App. And I try to call Cash App as quickly as I could, but I couldn't get to him quick enough
What
because
kind of shit was he doing? Was he communicating with you? Was he
he wouldn't communicate with me at all.
okay? So it may not be related. You could just be being randomly hacked, you think?
It could be, yeah. But I mean, think about everything that's been going on with the
I don't
sexting.
think it's random at all, but I'm just wondering.
It's really hard to say. But what I was getting at is while he was in my Cash App account, he got into my friend's Cash App account because the bud scene. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So she'll pay me into my Cash App. Well, he got into her Cash App and took money out of her account too. So I lost money. Well, she didn't lose money because I had cash on me, so I reimbursed her for what she lost. And so I could finally talk to somebody at Cash App. They said since this person bought up everything with the money with into Bitcoin, we cannot trace it. We're not going to be able to do anything about it. So I lost out on money,
Mm.
but at least I've got some really good people in the chat across YouTube community, Facebook community that was willing to step up and reimburse me for the money I lost. So
Yeah, that's amazing.
yeah,
That's crazy, dude. I'm sorry that happened to you.
yeah, I learned my lesson as soon as I got back into the Facebook. I went to my two thing authentication so nobody can get into it again. So
Hmm.
and then Cash App put a thing around my account so nobody else could get in but me.
We got a
So,
super chat from Jerry. Says, "Happy Friday, Sleuth. Thank you so much. That was nice, man."
but I guess there's been a lot of crazy shit going on this week. I guess I really don't know. I mean,
As far as,
the sexting shit. I mean,
hmm
whatever's been going on. I thought my name was going to get brought up in it because everybody knew that I had been talking to him too. And I'm like, look, man, there ain't no derogatory shit between me and him. I'll show you
yeah,
all
but
the messages.
yeah, and I'm sure people have their opinions about that. But to me, that was only communication that I saw going on. You know?
mine,
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
show proof of everything. You know I do. If somebody's
Yeah.
got a
I seen your
question,
con. You showed me your conversation. I know
yeah.
exactly what happened.
And I had another conversation with him, just one where he tried to bribe me out of $100,
Yeah, the
saying he was
murder sheet did the same thing. They tried to reach out to him, and it was very similar to your experience. But
yeah.
now you have a difference when somebody's trying to reach out to him, and they're kind of like giving him somewhat what he's asking for.
Right, I know what you mean. Yeah, and as a matter of fact, uh, one of the young ladies sent me an email, and I'm not going to put her name out there because I'm not that person to do that. They don't need to be bashed. But then when like she asked me to call her, and I called her, and when she said she lived down south, I knew exactly who she was then. And I didn't really say much to her about it until I got more in depth of listening what was going on. And then I was trying to get a hold of her again, but I just haven't had the time to talk to her because I want to actually talk to her about the situation. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
With sexting and everything, because everybody, all the other people are getting heat for doing it. I don't think it's right. They
Yeah, I
fucked
agree.
up. They
I know
fucked
Julie
up.
got a lot of heat.
You know, there's some things that's been said, and I'm sure Julie's probably biting her tongue for it. But you know, it's what's done is done. You got to let that shit go. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
I
move
agree.
on.
It's kind of falls into the drama category.
Exactly. And I don't like drama at all. I mean,
Makes my
I hate
stomach
to,
hurt.
well, I mean, with my brother passing, there's always been a lot of animosity throughout the family. And I separated myself from that side of the family many years ago because there's too much drama. Me having PTSD, having severe anxiety, it's bad enough. And that's why I got away from it. You know, I'm at peace the way I am now. I live by myself and me and my dog, and I enjoy what I do. And I do really appreciate you inviting me on tonight. You know, I ain't been on nobody's panel in a while. So
Yeah, I'm surprised you were going to jump on, and every time we're able to be on a live together, we seem to have pretty good chemistry. So
yeah, you're a good convincer, dude. I told you that the other night.
what do you mean?
You know how to get people to talk, bro. Just like I do.
Yeah, because you got to remember if you're dealing with somebody that they don't have to be a genius, but if they can look 2 steps ahead, then you got to kind of do the same thing. You know, if you're trying to communicate with somebody like that,
Right, exactly.
they'll see right through you.
I mean, when I was talking to Keegan the second time about a week or two ago, he was real cordial with me. He asked me what I did for a living, and I told him I was a disabled veteran, da 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 da, the whole works. And he commented back, he said, I really appreciate you serving our country and protecting our freedom and all that kind of stuff. He was trying to soften me up, basically, what he was trying to do.
Exactly.
And I caught on to it. And then he started bitching about all the YouTubers making money off his name, and he ain't seen a goddamn dime of it, da 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 da. He said, I'm not going to talk to him more because HLN screwed me out of $500. And he said, if I'm going to talk, I'll do 1 hour interview with you for $100. So I started thinking about that. And then like a couple hours later, after I posted that on Facebook, some people were coming out. They said, well, he said the same thing to so-and-so and so-and-so. So I got a hold of Marv. I said, man, we got to think about this for a minute. Is he trying to bribe us? Because I'm seeing all these comments from other people getting the same messages from him. And then we decide, nope, we're not going to do it.
Thanks, Pam, for the super sticker. Yeah, because he's just trying to con you.
Yeah.
He's got a carrot. He's holding a dangling a carrot in front of you.
Yeah, he's back to his old tricks while he's locked up.
Well, I mean, what do you expect? That's why I would bring up the story. You know, the frog and the scorpion. He's gonna sting you every time. You know,
yeah,
he's gonna say he's gonna say what he needs to get across the creek, right?
But the problem is why is LD allowing it to happen? And it clearly states in the inmate cells when it comes to chirping or their actual live feed, they can talk to each other. They're not supposed to be sexing or anything. It clearly states that in their rules, and they let it happen anyway.
I heard maybe they did take it away for a minute after it happened. I'm not sure.
I think they took it away for 30 days. But he's going to have a new phone number, which is all right because you can still put money on his books. And if he decides to text you, you can get his new number.
Yeah, and it's kind of creepy if he's sending you. I hope these women that are messaging him or people that are messaging him, I hope they're not. I'm seeing like letters that are being mailed out. I hope these letters aren't coming directly to your home.
I ain't getting none. They don't see. A lot of people don't understand. If you don't put a change of address in at the post office, they are not going to have the correct address for you.
So maybe a PO box, maybe.
I use my regular address, but it's not listed. My old address is.
Well, I'm referring to if let's say somebody was like, hey, if you want to write me a letter, I hope they're not providing their home address.
Oh, you mean a return address?
Yeah.
Oh,
Hmm.
I hope not either. I hope not either. You know, and I do really believe it's Holly Lowry has caused this whole mess because of her and another individual that were doing all this shit, and now they're mad at me because of it. And I didn't do shit. They're coming at me like this, and I'm like, look, man, you guys did what you did. I was trying to be like a father figure to this kid because it was obvious he didn't know what the hell was going on between those two ears of him. I was basically reverse psychology him about the public defender and all that
Well, I
shit.
think that, yeah, they misunderstood because I can see your point of view is like, hey, if you go get yourself another lawyer, um, they might be able to make a deal here, and then we can get this case over and done with. It doesn't seem
Mm-hmm.
like they're going that route.
Right,
Um, but at the same time, a lawyer is going to be honest with Kagan and say, hey, look, you're not really. This is where we're being misled. He's going to tell him, hey, you're really not looking at that much time.
right.
Even though in the interview transcript it says, oh, each charge is 40 years. That's just not how it ends up in court. You know what I mean?
Well, Julie did a breakdown of it, and she passed along to me for all 30 charges. She gave me the breakdown. The minimum sentence is 26 years. Okay. Then the recommended sentence by the prosecutor is like 75 to 76 years, and the judge can impose the maximum sentence of 150 plus years with all the charges.
30 sounds about right. Like he'll get 30, he'll serve 15, and then
You
he'll
get
probably
time
even,
cut.
yeah, get time cut, and then even go maybe on probation after that or parole for a long time. I'm not sure.
Right. But they're going to have to keep him in solitary confinement. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, people have convicted him in their mind already, judge, jury, executioner,
Right.
but he hasn't been charged with anything in connection with Delphi at all.
No. And that's what I keep telling people. I mean, that's the reason why they haven't, because they have no proof it was actually him on the bridge unless they know it's him from their own photo that we haven't seen. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
But that thing that you put on YouTube on your community page, the little work you did on BG, that's
Yeah, those
looking,
crazy images.
man, that looks more and more like a Klein to me.
Did you see that first one, like kind of in the shadowy? Because you have, I guess it's a double exposure, and you can't really trust any of these images, man. But the
Right,
truth is,
right.
that one's that some of them got to be valuable. I mean,
It
right?
looked like a Klein to me.
Hmm. Man, it
It,
looked like
it
Kagan.
did. Well, I couldn't really tell, but he was kind of hefty, and I was thinking, man, that's a big dude right there. So,
Yeah, it looked like him puffing on a blunt or something.
well, Anna's really been on one here lately too.
What's going on?
Oh man, she's been commenting on people's stuff, man, over the
Oh, really?
search. Yeah, I got screenshots in my phone that people were sending me that Anna was just going off. I'm like,
Is she upset? What's she
yeah,
upset about?
I would have to get my phone and look through them, and it's over in the other room. So I was just like, good God. So over this search thing, and I've been in communication with Becky here the last couple of weeks. I'm trying to get her and Mike to come on, do a live with us, and just let them take the floor and let them have their frustrations. They can let it all out on our panel about everything that's been said, what's been misconstrued, and she said she's going to talk to Mike about it. So
Yeah, and if it is what it appears to be, the search, it seems like common sense, right?
mm-hmm.
Our witness or whoever's telling us that the item was thrown off here, we're going to start right there. We know it's most likely not here. 6 years have gone by, all the floods and all the crazy stuff that's going through that river, but we got to start there because you never know. And now we know that they're moving downstream,
I was
and
reading something today that they were moving in big machinery in there today.
yeah, dredgers. Chickpea, thank you for the super sticker. Yeah, so they're digging deep
Yeah,
and they're going to start sifting through all that stuff, man. I think where they are now are a little bit further.
they're further
If
west of the bridge.
I think that's where they're going to find success. I think the reason they started there was just because they kind of have to. Like it's
Right.
almost like they took into consideration, you know what, this is going to be about a week or two where we search through here. And then, you know, we know that we're expecting it further down, but we're going to make our way down that way.
Right, exactly. And no long,
Thanks, Richard.
no matter how long it takes them, you know.
Yeah.
What do you think they're looking for?
Well, if we look at the image, it appears that he may have a holstered gun, or maybe a gun in the pocket, maybe a gun in another jacket, under a jacket that's kind of hanging, weighing down the corner of that jacket, maybe like a hoodie with a zipper. I'm not sure. It could be some type of bag, pouch. I mean, it could just be something that they were like, okay, we're going to go commit this crime. We need this, and that. Let me grab that. I mean, there could even be some tactical gear under there. For all I know, he's got a single point sling, and he's got some type of maybe even like an automatic weapon or rifle or something dangling under his jacket. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What do you think about the circumstances around friend one? Then all of a sudden this takes place.
Suspicious.
Right.
To be honest, I don't have an opinion. I know both friends that were related. I mean, it's just so strange that both of those people who were this close to the case happened to, one got released and then one got arrested, and now they're both released.
You talking about TT, Travis?
Both. Friend one, and I guess TT would now be what, friend three?
Yep. I knew KT was released too. So
yeah,
it's just
if we're going off the transcript, yeah, that would make sense.
Right. And it was kind of weird. Somebody asked me, how in the hell could they release Travis on these charges? I said,
it's a DUI. I thought it's no big deal. I mean, he's
well,
going to go back. He'll go to court. He'll get his court date.
He had another couple charges added to it. From what I read, the one where he was actually busted and they issued a warrant for him. I don't know if it was Miami County or where it was. Said that he was pulled over for drinking or OWI. I think it was twice the legal limit.
Yeah, different county, next door county.
And then endangerment to a person while driving intoxicated.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. Freckle Joy just did a super chat. Can you see that up there, Frank?
Oh, much appreciated. Thank you.
Frankmeister is a hottie. Hey, calm down now.
You know, and it is it's coincidental with friend one. I always had my suspicion about him, especially when he moved to Vegas and opened up that photography studio called Sin City. And I was thinking, I looked at some of the photos and I said, man, they might as well just be naked. Provocative photos. And I'm thinking, man, is this dude into some kinky shit or what?
Well, before they announced Kagan Klein, I remember having a conversation with Harvey Carroll. I was like, to me, man, the shots, that sounds like a photography to me. So it was strange, you know, that was included in the Anthony shots. And then he had that whole photography thing, you know. So, and then it also appeared that there was some photography possibly used in the staging from what it looks like in the Ron Logan affidavit. So, I mean, they could still be tied somehow.
Right. Well, what was I going to say? Oh, that just slipped my mind.
In regards to friend one.
Yeah, but like I said, man, when all his stuff started coming out years ago, when they first talked to him about going to Vegas and Keegan moving down there, and talked about how he didn't know what Keegan really did. I mean, how do you know you don't know what your roommate's doing? I mean, especially when you guys live next door to each other, you hung out together, you guys partied together. You can't tell me you didn't know what the kid was doing at the time. Then you say he moves down to Vegas with you and he has his own room and he locks himself up in that room all day long. I mean, come on. And then you got a photography studio. It's basically an X-rated photography. What are you into, dude?
Exactly. And when people are interviewed, if you look back at all these criminals that were interviewed prior to actually being convicted of the crime, and they're just kind of like a person of interest, they always kind of leave out the stuff that they contributed. They make themselves sound good in the
Ex-
story.
Exactly.
They always leave out their part in everything, if you've noticed that.
And I also would like to know the explanation of why Keegan's phone was allegedly pinging from Trexler's house that day.
Yeah. I mean, there's a story going on. There's a huge part of the story that we don't know, and
Yeah,
that has to be part of it. Either this person knew, and because Kagan, well, one thing about Kagan Klein is that he didn't have any money. So he was always going places and using the Wi-Fi. So at one point, maybe he did have a connection to that Wi-Fi, because they are related, and he just happened to stop at that point in time to kind of leech off the Wi-Fi momentarily, maybe to get an update on what was going on with the girls, or to look at the gas station, or maybe he wasn't even really connected there, or he used it for his alibi. I mean, that'd be pretty smart, right?
true. But there's some things that information I was given today, per se, that it's just speculation right now. It's according to some of the documents, it's allegedly going to get released here. I don't know when. They're supposed to let me know when, so I don't know if that's going to happen.
Pertaining
That
to.
the crime scene.
Thank you,
Uh,
Stacy.
they allegedly there was Odin, according to the
Odinism.
yes,
Is that the non-secular portion?
yes.
And I
Uh,
wonder if that's what makes them think it's local, because that's very prominent in that area, I've noticed.
Allegedly, what I was told, that they found an engraving in a tree. It looks like an F, but it's not actually an F. It's the symbol of Odinism.
Hmm.
And the way the girls were found, they explained to me exactly how they were found. And I'm not going to say it because it's just rumor, and I don't want to put that out there.
Yeah, rumors have really, and I'm guilty.
Oh, I am too.
I haven't been the best for this case, but I'm learning and I'm fixing things, as I go on. But my heart is in the right place.
Oh,
So
exactly.
that's
I
all that
mean,
matters to me.
when all that stuff came out about the autopsy report a couple months ago, we got sucked in, we believe, because of the political part of it, and we
Hmm.
decided that we were getting out of it. We didn't want no part of the politics of this case. That's not what we're in it for at all. So,
Well, let's go ahead and let's jump into some of these notes here. So we briefly talked about kind of the topic for tonight, and it's just kind of the things that would have had to gone just right for this killer to get away as long as he has. The first thing that came to my mind was, I would say, Kay Weber just not being there. Being in Arizona, away from home. That seems to be what allowed this to happen. Do you think it's possible this person knew that?
yes,
Um,
yes, right off the bat.
okay.
They knew right off the bat. It's almost like they studied there for a while, or they knew the family particularly, or somebody outside the family that knew them, that knew they would go to Arizona every winter, and they knew exactly when the perfect time was to do it.
Well, it looks
And
like
they,
Randy's in the chat. Do you or Randy even know? Did they leave a note on the door letting others know, like, hey, something like, I know some snowbirds will do that. They'll say, hey, make sure you leave all my packages under this covered area, or,
well, you got to remember, Brad would go to the house to check on it while they were in Arizona. That's why he was on the private drive at that time, because he came back. He was on his way home from work, and he was staying at the house, I guess.
the day after he showed up and they questioned him
Yeah.
right at around 4, I think.
So, Brad was staying there while his mom was gone, I believe. Well, Brad lives in the house now because Kay and her husband, Mr. Sanders, built a house out in Lafayette somewhere, I believe it was. So Brad lives there now.
Okay. And what about, do you think the killer knew it was a snow day? You think Liberty passed that information along and say, hey, we're going to be out and about. We don't have school tomorrow.
Yeah, I believe that could have happened. I do. letting all of her friends know, hey, we don't. Everybody knows we don't have school today. We're all gonna meet up somewhere.
Well, I was having a kind of like a small conversation with somebody leaving some comments on one of my video, and they said, um, well, brought something to my attention that they could have stopped at the CPS building because that's kind of in between High Bridge and Riley Park and kind of near the girls' homes, you know. So that would be a good place to stop and just kind of hang out and wait for, let's say, a Snapchat photo or something like that to kind of see where they were. What do you think about something like that?
Well, first of all, the CPS building is not really that close to Raleigh Park. First of all, it's basically 100 yards or less from the Freedom Bridge parking lot, actually.
So they were more targeting that area for
Yeah.
sure.
And I can see how you could have done it because there's trails that lead from the CPS building up to the High Bridge. Because that's where we met Adventures with Mike and all them up there. They parked over to the CPS building and walked back around the Freedom Bridge and came to the parking lot instead of just cutting across the highway to the parking lot we were at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like those guys a lot.
Yeah, they were good. They were good kids, man. They helped me down under the north end of the bridge and everything. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have a lot of respect for those guys.
I wish they would do some more video. Somebody that's in our chat, Pam Hurst. She's a friend of Randy's of mine. She lives down South Indiana. We're gonna all go up to the Halloween thing for the girls on the 29th.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
Yeah, because Libby was into Halloween, right?
yeah, it was one of her favorite holidays. So we're gonna take some pumpkins up there and put it at the memorial and stuff. And Becky said if you do make it up there, make sure you reach out to me. So
Well, I get this question a lot. Digital asked, Brad showed up on the 13th as well. I don't believe that Brad showed up on the 13th. I believe he showed up on the 14th after they had discovered the girls and was like, what the hell's going on? What are you guys doing on my, you know, like basically what the heck's going on type of deal. And they kind of explained it. They had an agent, I believe, meet with his mother down in Arizona, and then were both interviewed. And I think they gave permission to search the property, right?
yeah. They when they took him in, for questioning for several hours, and they also confiscated a 40 caliber weapon from him. So
Interesting. I wonder why they would do that.
well, you know, people are just allegedly saying that they found shell casings over by the area of the girls and all that shit. So
That'd be an easy way to get a thumbprint too.
Oh yeah. And I was
Okay,
told
now
where
go ahead.
I was told where they got the thumbprint. I don't know how true it is, but supposedly the thumbprint was on Libby's forehead.
I heard that information. And I believe I was watching what is it, Rick Snay, what's his show? Delphi After Dark or
Man, that dude's a whack job right now, dude.
yeah, what he was saying today was actually he was talking about the very thing. He was saying the thumbprint that was gathered was lost, is what he said.
It was. The question was asked on a Facebook group talking about it, and they asked, who do you think lost it? And I already knew who lost it.
Yeah, so do I.
I was like, I put it out there. I'm not afraid to put it out there. People, you got to know. If you don't know, start listening to people when they put information out there.
The person who told me just told me not to say anything, but I mean, I'm sure everybody already knows who it is.
Oh yeah, of course. You know. But like I was saying on our last live, man, I kind of put this out there for people because there's a lot of things that get misconstrued over the last 5 years of what's been said and interviews. And I went to bat for Kelsey and Becky and Mike because I had to sit back and ponder for about a week after Joe Lewis and all those other ones when I attacked the family, you know. And I said, look, man, you're not going to remember every detail of every word that you said in an interview 5 years ago. Of course, maybe a few words in the phrase or whatever has changed, but it doesn't change what you're trying to say. and they were attacking Kelsey bad, man. And I was like, I can
They still
understand
are.
I can understand what's going on with her. I mean, she was just a young kid still when this happened. That's going to be a trauma for her that she'll never forget,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And sure, things are going to be speculatory because you changed some things that you said, but you got to go back and think. She's not going to say exactly what she said 5 years ago because she probably doesn't remember. She probably was just trying to use words to fill in from words that she forgot.
She had no idea what she was getting into with the social media.
Exactly. Exactly. She was a kid, you know. And now that she's married, people just need to leave her alone, man. Let her enjoy her life, you know. Don't attack her. And the same thing with Mike and Becky. You know, I mean, I'm sure the same things have happened to them, and people are taking it on of content and not realizing they're not going to remember everything they've said the last 5 years.
Or last 5 minutes. I mean,
Exactly. I know Becky's probably still a mess from when I talked to her today. I can tell the wheels in her head are spinning like crazy just the way she talks.
and I mean, the truth is we have no clue who committed this murder at this point in time. But
Right.
we know that the evidence isn't pointing at the family
No, no.
at this point in time. Am I going to go out there and say, hey, these people are 100% innocent? But it would be lazy for me to look at them, as if law enforcement, if it happened to be like even if it was a neighbor, like a close neighbor, these are people that aren't going anywhere. These are people that are under constant observation by law
Exactly.
enforcement. So
Exactly.
if it is anybody along those, friend, family, neighbor, those will be the people that law enforcement will pick up on the first. So why be as lazy? Kind of reminds me of Harvey Carroll, where he's like, "Oh, you haven't named 70 people or whatever at the park." We're not looking for the people that have been identified. We're looking for people who have yet to be identified.
Right. Exactly. You know, and I was talking to Becky about this today. She said, who we were talking about Bitcoins. And she said, well, how did they get a lot from me? And I said, well, Bitcoin these days is 19,000 per Bitcoin. I said, what they got on my account, they ain't getting shit, you know?
Mhm.
And she said, well, we had a friend that lived here in Delphi, and he did it way back in the day when it was basically nothing to get Bitcoin. And she said he's living on a private tropical island now with all the money
Yep.
he made off Bitcoin. You
Mhm.
know, she does seem like a good woman. I mean, just from the conversations I've had with her for the last few weeks, that's what made me go back and start thinking about the things that Kelsey might have misconstrued or misspoke about or whatever. And I had to think about it. I was like, look, she was a kid. All this pressure was thrown on her in a split second. You know what I mean? Social media, the news in her face, police in her face, questioning her if she knew this or if she knew anything about that, da 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 da. Years have gone by, she's not going to remember every little detail. It's
Um,
really,
and she's very young at the time. That was in one of my notes here. Do you think? Because I think Kelsey did say that the girls asked her to come with her. Of course, she couldn't, but let's just say for whatever reason, Kelsey did go with the girls. Do you think that this could have included her in the crime, or would it have maybe scared the killer off a little bit? Like, oh, wait a minute.
I would honestly believe if Kelsey was there, Kelsey'd been fighting
You think he still would have attacked him?
at least one of them,
See, that's scary.
right? At
Let's
least
see what
one of
else I
them.
got here.
But
Um,
there's is one thing that always got my attention, and it always bugged me is when Kelsey made that statement. She said, "If it's who I think it is, I'm not scared of him." That's the only thing that really's bothered me through this whole thing.
oh, okay. I think she said something along those lines. And neither is my boyfriend. But it would easily. She's just kind of talking as if she can kind of like the guy's there. We can see him. He's on the bridge. We hear his voice. It's almost like we know who he is, but we don't. Like we know who this guy is.
And
When
right,
you meet somebody, the way you know them is by their face and by their voice. And we're very close to knowing who this person is. We got the voice and somewhat of what they look like. So she might have just had some type of familiarity in that aspect.
Stacy Kemper, I saw that what she just had up there about
Thank you,
JBC.
Tom.
We were talking about it with that over on Sunday the other night. There's a connection between him and the Kleins.
T.O., I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, we were talking about the other night on her channel. So yeah, I'm aware of that.
Creepy doll with a green dress. Very odd.
Oh
Something about dolls. Something about dolls that just aren't, grown men and dolls. Though that just doesn't mix.
Right.
Quick. Here's another question here. The search being called off on the 13th. Do you think that had any impact on the investigation at all?
Yes. Because you don't know if them girls have been knocked, if they fell and got knocked out somewhere.
Do you think like a roadblock or something like that might have helped?
I think they should have shut the whole. As soon as they realized that the girls were missing, they should have called the police immediately and shut the whole place down, and that didn't happen.
In the Shauna Howe case, I think it took place in Pennsylvania. As soon as she went missing, they started a search and they put roadblocks up. They weren't impeding, anybody's travel. They were just like, hey, what's going on? Where are you guys coming from? Just kind of taking a look at what was going on. Because they did get one witness spoke up and said, yeah, we saw a red car. And that reminded me of Delphi. I was like, I wonder if that's kind of what Brad Heath did. Like, hey, I saw a car. It was this, and that. And I wonder if they would have set up maybe some roadblocks or something along those lines, But I'm sure they interviewed him way after. Right. He probably didn't think anything of it until after the crime, but still. So I can catch up on the chat here.
Yeah, I was thinking about the voice just a minute ago. After I thought about it and I kept going back and listening to Keegan's voice on the HLN special that Barbara did on him for about 5 minutes they showed on the news. I listened to that voice and then I go back and listen to Down the Hill. I listened to Down the Hill over and over and over. Okay. And then something clicked in my brain. Go back to the interview with Barbara McDonald. So I started listening to that voice in my head and then trying to blend it in with Down the Hill. And I said, I'd be damned, that sounds like Keegan.
It really does.
I was like, I'll be damned.
That's why I don't want to put it past anything that he could have just gone down there and done this himself, He could have been trying to kill somebody for the last 3 years, and that's what tonight's show is about. He went down there, he set the trap, he had the area.
Who were his accomplices, though?
Maybe he didn't have any. Maybe
how would he got out of there, though? Somebody had to have drove him there. He didn't drive himself.
I don't know that.
He didn't drive. That's what he told them.
I don't believe anything that guy says. He's a catfisher. He's a liar. Like
right.
he projects the image that he wants us to have. And right now it's better for him to project an image of weakness and kind of as a pathetic person. But truthfully, you see when these people are reaching out to him and trying to communicate with him, he's able to manipulate them. The same way he tried to do with you, same way he tried to do with the Murder Sheets podcast. So there's something more going on than meets the eye, in my opinion, with this guy. I think he could possibly have acted alone. I think it's possible. I'm not saying everything points to that because we know the evidence says that there's more people involved. But I'm just not going to say right here and now that he did not operate alone.
But and some more information I gathered from this person that told me about some stuff that was in the crime scene. They said that the crime scene was so contaminated, they don't know whose footprints is whose out there with all the people that
That's
was out there.
yeah, that's horrible. Because I know Kim Riley was only one of the major players in the investigation that was coming out, presenting the information to the public that admitted that the search kind of contaminated the crime scene with urination,
Yeah,
tobacco spitting, and
right.
that's man, that's got to be discouraging.
That's exactly what I was trying to tell you about. This case was screwed from the time they went missing. They should have cordoned off the whole area. I mean, them girls could have fell off one of them hills and rolled down and cracked their head somewhere and been knocked out somewhere, and they wouldn't have never known it.
The difference between the Delphi case and Shauna Howe was that there was a witness. When she was taken, somebody said what they reported to police that it appeared that they saw somebody throw somebody in a car, but they weren't sure if it was her. So they did have that aspect, which sparked, the roadblocks and things like that. When it comes to Abby and Libby, they were a little bit older, and there was no real reports that something bad had happened yet. So, who
And
knows?
I mean, I just, you see all these kids that disappear, and you see it all over national news all the time. They've got massive search teams with law enforcement from day one. From the day to time the persons went missing or the child went missing.
Yeah, let this be a lesson. Lock it down. Kids go missing, it's okay. Send some of the rookies, send some of the people that are in the police academy, send some people from the fire department, and just have them maybe just ask people to slow down or stop, let me ask you a question. And if they don't want to, they don't have to, but get out there and
it's kind of embarrassing to me because I am living in here in Indiana, and it gives our state a bad rap, being the 48th worst in the country in solving homicides.
that is awful.
And it makes me sick to my stomach. I mean, I got my pistol right here.
Mm-hmm.
You have to these days anymore.
That's scary, man. Especially the randomness of things nowadays. Like
Exactly.
before, when you something bad was going to happen to you, you knew.
Mm-hmm.
You're watching your back. You're like, okay, you know what's out there. People are talking. Somebody's gunning for you. Now they don't even need to know you. They're just out to hurt somebody, and it's random. Boom.
And now it's to the point this shit has happened with my Facebook, my phone, and my Cash App. It's like, man, what's going to be next? And it's like, you know what? I'm a soldier and I'm a warrior. You can knock me down, but you can't keep me down. So,
and how pathetic does that seem? Like it would have had to taken somebody a whole lot of time if it was somebody involved with what we're trying to do here.
right.
Man, isn't that just pathetic?
Well, it just seemed kind of odd that we get that email from that Richard Beeler, and then everything
Yeah, what is
started to
that?
happen.
Sounds like an anagram or some kind of.
Sonny ran the email. I've got his email, or this person's email, and he's going with 7 different aliases under the same email.
Same trolls that we've been dealing with all year.
Yeah. That Beeler 69 is one of them, I believe, and I'm just like, and then I get threatened by Lilith's wife on the protective order. I'm like, bitch, shut up. I'm like, shut up.
Oh man.
And now I'm really going to expose you because I know who you are.
I want to give a shout out to Stacy. Really appreciate that. Tom with the super chat says, I feel like PB knows KK somehow, some way. I've heard PB made physical contact during the search. I've heard that too. What can you say to that, Frank? I know you've been down there and you've been kind of hanging out over there with the locals and Randy and all that. What What have you heard down there
Let me read
about
this
that?
again. I would see Pat Brown is in along with the Kokomo crew. So is David Erskine's. Okay. I still kind of wonder about Pat Brown sometimes because he really hasn't talked about this case at all either, just from his experience from what he saw. And I like to actually talk to him to see if he'll tell me exactly what he did see. Honestly, but you can't find him. He won't talk.
Yeah, and to be honest, if he did find him, it kind of would be a natural reaction to kind of check for a pulse, don't you think?
Well, I mean, it really depends on how long the girls have been gone. Because if they've been gone 12 hours, you can tell they're deceased after 12 hours.
Oh man, what? Just trying to imagine that. It's just like it's not that easy.
Yeah, you would know that they were deceased within after 12
Yeah,
hours.
so that's kind of, I mean, it's suspicious. So I don't want to give up on these things that stand out at us because people in the true crime community, they watch a lot of cold case updates and they watch how these cases are finally solved, and it's people making mistakes, overlooking things or making assumptions.
Right.
Um, and I hate to keep bringing up the Shauna Howe case, but that's what happened with that case. They said, "Oh no, 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 couldn't have been, couldn't have been Garrett Kurtz, or it couldn't have been this guy because they were in jail at the time." Come to find out, they weren't in jail. It was just the documentation wasn't filed properly, and it didn't show that they bonded out. So they had their first primary suspects were people that they assumed were in jail, but because of a clerical error and somebody not following up with the information, it took, I can't remember how it was, 90 case happened in 92, and I think they solved it in 2000 and I don't know, 12, 13, something like that.
Right.
I don't
And
want that to happen to this case.
I mean, unfortunately, you see that happen a lot these days. So, and it's people like us that's got the ones to be to expose the mistakes that's going on that we can actually see ourselves. You know. And it's just like the Flint Farmer type situation. People keep asking about him when it comes to Delphi case. I said, look, people, I have done my due diligence on Flint Farmer. The man was in jail. Yes, he had a bond hearing, but requested to be canceled by his attorney because they came to a plea agreement. So he refused the bond and took a plea agreement and went to prison. This was in January of 2017. So he's got to drop the Flint Farmer thing, unless he ordered it. I mean, that's the only other way you can tie him into this.
And I'm sure they questioned him.
Right, exactly.
Before we get out of here, Frank, one last thing I wanted to talk about here. So after we spoke with Julie Melvin, she kind of talked a little bit about Kay Weber's neighbor and how they had a somewhat of a small confrontation with basically who we come to find out maybe the young bridge guy. And it was, she time stamped it at about 1:30. So if this is all factual information and the killer knows that they were seen on the south end of the bridge, they must have been pretty desperate to proceed with the murders, or they didn't go there planning to kill. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I thought about that, and the sketch that the young sketch was done on her memory, because she actually saw the young sketch. And when they put up the old BG sketch, she flipped out and said, "That is not a person I described to them." And then I went back and thought about it, and I was thinking, hold on here. Then you had the teenage girl, the witness to BG on the trail. So what if there was two people? You have BG on the trail and you have the young guy down at the gate.
And if he did come up from the south end, maybe they did come up on the private drive.
Yeah, exactly.
Or dropped off and then went and parked. and just waiting for the call.
over
That's
by
why they're
Riley
asking for
Park.
the driver. Yeah.
Over by Riley Park.
Yeah, because it doesn't make sense if that is the killer or he's involved, and you're seen at 1:30 right when the girls are getting ready to be dropped off and head towards your direction. Why would you know after being seen? Why would you still proceed with the plan to commit a murder? It's got to be either you planned it, and now at this point, if you're still going to proceed, you're desperate. You're desperate to silence these girls, or you don't care that you're seen because you don't plan to commit a murder. You're just waiting to have a confrontation,
Right.
and then it goes wrong.
You know, Kelly Aaron, she made a good point about the young sketch. Everybody, when it first came out, thought it was the picture of the Anthony Shots guy. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now
Makes
think
sense.
yes, right. Now think about this. Remember what Doug Carter said. You take the old sketch, you take the young sketch. Your killer is hiding behind these people. If you're the young sketch, then that's the Anthony Shots profile. Who's behind the Anthony Shots profile? Keegan Klein. But who is the older gentleman that they portrayed as BG at the beginning?
Well, from the information that I've gathered, it was people searching like early on, people that got there around 4:30, between 4:30 and 5, and then what police. I think they had their sketch artist take a close look at the video, make a sketch of what they thought they seen, and then took the people who saw the older looking sketch or the man on the trail with his face covered and tried to do their best with the eyes, maybe. Because they said they had all kinds of sketches and they went with this one. But then after following up with all these people, they're like, oh shit, that's actually, now that I know what's going on, that was Mike Patty, or that was such and such, or that was now I know this guy was a fireman helping with the search. So that's when I think they decided, hey, we got to go with Kay Weber's neighbor, that guy. Now that we figured out what was going on over here, it's not that they cleared a man, they just cleared the sketch. It's not, we're not going this direction. And the reason they say it's between both is because some of that is good information, because we know some of the witnesses saw the eyes, that they were, the face covered. So some of the information is good, and it's going to be somewhere in between, because even though part of the older sketch was misconstrued, I think some of the pieces of it might still be pretty good and might match up with the younger sketch that the neighbor saw.
But when she made that statement, who hides behind the Anthony Shot, who's behind the Anthony Shots account? And I said, Keegan Klein. She said, there you go. He's using the Anthony Shots to cover himself. So I thought that was pretty interesting when she said that. I was like, that's really good theory.
Well, Frank, before we finish out with the chat, I figure we'll just kind of finish out and answer all the questions for the last about 8 minutes. Do you got anything you want to say before we start closing it out?
Oh, no, I just appreciate you having me on, man. I really do.
Yeah, this was a good show, dude.
Oh, yeah, it was. Oh, yeah.
So thank you. Thanks for joining.
No problem.
I'll drop us off screen now. And if you can help me, I'm sure people have some questions for you as well, okay?
All right, no problem.
Just looking for a good shot here. Just plop that up there. Turn this music down. Yeah, I agree with that, Bees, for sure.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt.
Never know. Hey, Melly, good to see you.
Back in my day, I'd be able to, Pamela.
Yeah, that sounds like it would hurt my back right now.
Oh yeah. No, you cannot call in. I've spoken to Anthony a couple times by church.
How's he doing?
Not bad, not bad. Actually, he wanted me to get you in contact with him.
Yeah, I'll wait till he gets out and he can reach out to me.
Yeah. I think it's best for him. I mean, I love the dude to death, but he's got, I mean, this is just my opinion. You do the crime, you got to do the time, and he knows that.
Yep.
He wants out of there so bad, man, so.
Res Kid says, just recently 9 children, August 15th, rescued in a pedal ring in Indiana. This is a criminal conspiracy that is far-reaching. That's terrifying, because that means that these people are being protected. And that's what scares me about Keegan. He would be like the perfect patsy if, let's say, somebody in the FBI, law enforcement, stumbled upon him or a report of an Anthony Shots catfishing, and then they were just like, well, we didn't find anything, knowing damn well they found their patsy.
But see, is Keegan been recruited by somebody else to do what he's doing?
Yeah, like a hitman even.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like, I'll give you all of these drugs here if you do this for me. And I also know somewhere where you can go and sell them in Las Vegas.
And then that's where it brings up to me with the former sheriff that they were friends with.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been speculative about him, man, because he's the friend that lived in Vegas.
Yeah, and they could have been either selling it to him. He could be some kind of, or they could have just been seeking advice from him, like, hey, should we bounce? Should we leave the country? Right. Should we wait? And he may have like advised them.
And the one thing that still sticks out in my mind too is the phone that they didn't get the first time they took Keegan in, when they got everything else with that one phone. And then he gets home and that phone's on the microwave. What was Tony doing with it?
Mm-hmm. And that was the one that was deleted from the 10th to the 15th, I believe.
Yep. Reno did tell me that he does want to get out and get back on this case, though.
Well, he's got an uphill battle. He's got a lot of enemies, man, right now.
Yeah.
And I don't know him well enough to be in his corner like that.
Well, me neither. You know, I try to give him just the emotional support for him being in there.
Well, the way I look at it is he's locked up. You know, I mean, what you want him to die, or what more can you do to a man?
No.
He's locked up. The next step is death. I mean,
you know, he'll send me a message. Hey, man, can you tell me when Survivor's on or when it starts? Because he's got his own pod, and basically, when you're in jail, there's usually a guy that runs the pod, and apparently, he's the guy that runs his own pod, and wanting to know what the TV schedules and stuff were like and stuff. So I sent him the times and shit. You know, just to lift his spirits, let him know there's people out here still thinking about him. You know.
Well, Frank, I appreciate you joining me, man. That's all the time I have for tonight. Hopefully I'll see you out here in about maybe after an hour here. I just got to take care of a few things.
All right.
And we'll do this again soon, I hope.
All right, brother. Appreciate it.
All right. Farewell, everybody. Thanks. I appreciate it. Good night.
Good night.